Buenos días y bienvenidos a esta jornada de presentación del nuevo Programa Marco de Investigación e Innovación de la Unión Europea para el periodo 2021-2027, que se va a denominar Horizonte Europa. Sustituye al Horizonte 2020 y tiene que constituir un impulso decisivo para la mejora y el desarrollo científico-tecnológico de la Unión Europea y, por supuesto, de España. Para ello vamos a empezar con un primer bloque y damos paso al ministro de Ciencia e Innovación, Pedro Duque.
Buenos días. Muchas gracias a todos los que os habéis conectado para seguir estas jornadas sobre el nuevo Programa de Investigación e Innovación de la Unión Europea, Horizonte Europa. Tenemos muchas esperanzas en este programa, en el que se reparten importantes recursos para I+D+I de forma competitiva. Durante el último programa, Horizonte 2020, que termina el mes que viene, las empresas, organismos de investigación y universidades españolas han demostrado que la ciencia y la tecnología española están al nivel de los mejores. Durante los 7 años que ha durado este programa, España se ha situado como el cuarto país que más recursos ha conseguido, por delante de Italia y Países Bajos, por ejemplo, algo que no había sucedido en ninguno de los programas Marco anteriores. En total, las entidades españolas han conseguido más de 5.000 millones de euros, por encima del 10% del total. Más de 13.000 participantes han conseguido financiación y es muy destacable que más de 1.000 proyectos han estado liderados por organismos españoles. De hecho, somos el país que más proyectos ha liderado, casi el 17% del total. Para alcanzar estos números, España ha destacado en muchas áreas. Hemos sido el primer país en el programa de pymes, gracias a los excelentes resultados obtenidos por las pequeñas y medianas empresas innovadoras. También hemos sido los primeros en varias áreas temáticas, bioeconomía y ciencias sociales, y segundos en varias relacionadas con materiales, energía, medio ambiente o salud. En definitiva, las entidades españolas han tenido mucho éxito en este programa, pero somos ambiciosos y queremos que nos vaya aún mejor en Horizonte Europa. Para ello hemos alineado y sincronizado la estrategia española de ciencia, tecnología e innovación al programa, que en vez de abarcar 8 años, como era costumbre, será de 7 como Horizonte Europa. Ambos irán de 2021 a 2027. Este programa trae algunas novedades respecto a Horizonte 2020. El pilar 3, Europa Innovadora, es la gran novedad, con el Consejo Europeo de Innovación a la cabeza, en el que se centralizarán las convocatorias de temática abierta y focalizada en construir un entorno europeo de la innovación. Otras novedades destacadas son las asociaciones europeas y las misiones de investigación e innovación. En cuanto a las misiones, desde que se comenzó a definir el nuevo programa, quedó claro que eran una de las principales novedades y un aspecto que centró muchas discusiones. Aún quedan muchas dudas sobre su implementación, pero tendrán una aportación presupuestaria importante, por lo que será necesario seguir el proceso de definición pendiente. Es un modelo que puede ser muy positivo por la intensidad de innovación obtenida y del que hemos sido pioneros en Europa este año ya. Nuestras misiones de ciencia e innovación han sido una convocatoria de gran éxito y pese a todas las dificultades de organización de este año y de complejidad de evaluación de algo tan novedoso, pronto podrán comenzar. Espero que esta jornada les resulte de mucha utilidad y terminen teniendo mucha información, lo que les permitirá estar preparados y comenzar a trabajar cuanto antes con las nuevas reglas y en el nuevo entorno. Cuenten con todos los equipos del Ministerio, de CDTI y de FECIT para mejorar sus propuestas, para entender las bases del programa o para cualquier cuestión que necesiten referida a cómo participar en Horizonte Europa. Les deseo mucho éxito.
Muchas gracias, ministro, y aprovecho la ocasión para dar la enhorabuena a todos esos participantes en el Horizonte 2020. Sin duda, nuestro principal objetivo va a ser intentar conseguir una alta participación en el nuevo programa Marco, en el Horizonte Europa, y conseguir que efectivamente esa participación sea lo más efectiva posible. Para continuar este bloque, vamos a dar la bienvenida al señor Patrick Child, que es el director general adjunto de Investigación e Innovación de la Unión Europea, que nos va a tratar de trasladar el panorama general de este nuevo programa Marco, para lo cual vamos a conectar en directo desde Bruselas. Mr. Child, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, and ladies and gentlemen, it's a huge pleasure and privilege for me to join you today for this very important event to prepare the Spanish research and innovation community generally for the exciting new opportunities that lie ahead with our new research and innovation program, Horizon Europe. And in speaking to you today, I'd like to address perhaps three themes. Firstly, to highlight some of the really positive successes that we see in Spain's involvement in research and innovation through our program, and in particular Horizon 2020. Then I will set out the state of play on Horizon Europe, illustrating some of the new features that we have in the future program, as well as where we have reached in terms of preparation for the launch next year. And then finally, I will say a few words about the broader economic context and the COVID crisis and how that affects our work. So to start with the very positive news on the research and innovation context in Spain, we are very happy to see that Spain has a highly consolidated research and innovation system with many, many successful areas of scientific excellence, which are strongly represented in your international engagement. Through Horizon 2020, our present framework program, you are a very, very strong and successful actor, in particular in the work that we've been doing together to support small and medium-sized enterprises. But I'd also mention the strong engagement that we have with the Barcelona Supercomputing Center and your engagement, therefore, in some top European Union initiatives, such as our high-power computer systems. You have a very dynamic biotech sector. And I was very pleased to see that the city of Valencia was a runner-up in the recent competition for the European Capital of Innovation. So Spain's research and development expenditure per inhabitant is towards the middle of the table for the EU 27. You have a research and development intensity of 1.24% of GDP. Spain receives a total EU contributions to research and innovation in the order of 5.4 billion euros. And as your capacity as a moderate innovator, according to our innovation scorecard in 2020, just a little bit below the EU average, but making good progress. In terms of your participation in EU-funded research programs and your success rate under Horizon 2020, we're happy to see that Spain is very close to the EU average with a success rate of 14.6% of successes compared with an average in the EU of just over 15%. In terms of overall budget share, you are in second position in terms of the number of participation and fourth in terms of budget share. So strong, very, very strong and successful track record of engagement and working with the European research and innovation systems. And in particular, as I mentioned earlier, a very strong engagement with our instrument dedicated to small and medium-sized enterprises, where you come at the top of the list of the EU 27. So I think that this is an excellent backdrop of successful participation in EU research for today's discussions on the future opportunities that we will have under our new program, Horizon Europe. And so I would just now like to set out some of the features of our new program and where we've got to in terms of preparation for the launch next year. So the first thing I would say is that Horizon Europe is an evolution, not a revolution. What we're trying to do is build on the key success factors that we have established in the Horizon 2020 program and our previous framework programs. So we retain a very strong focus on excellence, built around, in particular, the highly successful work of the European Research Council and the Marie Skłodowska-Curie scheme, as well as the strong commitment that we have made to supporting and promoting research infrastructures across the European Union. We also retain a cross-cutting target for 35% of the overall budget to be dedicated to climate action. And we retain from Horizon 2020 a three-pillar structure. A first pillar devoted to excellent science, a second pillar devoted to thematic challenges and industrial competitiveness, where we have different clusters of activity around the main topics: health, climate, mobility, energy, and so on. And then a third pillar under Horizon Europe devoted to innovation, one of the areas that we want to develop further under Horizon Europe. So turning then to the main new features of the Horizon Europe program, the first, and which I'm sure you've heard a lot about, is this idea that we will have some high-level missions to provide a sort of an inspiring focus for cross-cutting interdisciplinary work in a number of key areas which resonate, we hope, very directly also with the expectations and needs of our citizens. So we've been working on possible future missions under Horizon Europe in a number of areas, including cities, oceans, clean soils, cancer treatments, and climate adaptation. And so we received at the recent Research and Innovation Days conference that we held in September reports from the high-level mission boards that have been working on preparing proposals for each of these possible mission areas in an event chaired by our Commissioner Maria Gabriel. And we are now working to see how those missions can be further developed, not only as a strong component of our work under Horizon Europe, but we hope also a beacon of inspiration for many other sources of political activity and financial support, both at European, national level and more widely. So the first missions element, very, very high profile innovation in Horizon Europe. Secondly, the creation of a new organization, the European Innovation Council, specifically intended to bring a new approach to the way that we support startup businesses and scale up in order to ensure that the excellent research and innovation results that we get from our universities and from our research centers across the European Union can be translated into genuine commercial successes, company successes for the benefit of the European economy and for our jobs and for our competitiveness. So this new institution, the European Innovation Council, we hope will command in future the same level of prestige and success that we've already achieved with the European Research Council. And we've been very encouraged that the pilot actions that we've been organizing under Horizon Europe to Horizon 2020 to prepare for the launch of the European Innovation Council have gone very well. And there again, I would highlight the very strong participation from Spanish applications, where we've had 1,390 really good proposals, putting Spain as the second ranking country in terms of participation and proposals for this pilot phase. So we're very excited and looking forward to this strong contribution to our innovation landscape. The third new feature of Horizon Europe, I want to mention a whole new approach to our partnerships, in particular our industrial partnerships and the way that we work together with member states through co-funded actions with national programs, as well as with research communities across the European Union. Here we're trying to be more streamlined and more focused. So we're working on 50 new partnerships, which will replace somewhat more than 100 that we had under Horizon 2020, and very soon we'll be publishing our proposals, in particular for the new legal single basic act that we will be proposing for our key institutionalized partnerships in areas like clean aviation, clean hydrogen, innovative medicines, and a number of other areas. A fourth new dimension in Horizon Europe is a renewed focus on synergies with other programs. So, for example, more flexibility to use other sources of EU funding, for example, the structural funds, InvestEU, EIB lending, Connecting Europe facility, and many others, working much more closely together to make the EU funding have maximum impact and that there is proper connection between what we're doing in our research and innovation programs and the way that we then develop and roll out our activities through other programs at larger scale. Horizon Europe will also see strong additional emphasis on what we call widening, the important challenge of promoting excellent research and innovation in all our member states. And this is a theme which is further developed very strongly in the new communication on the European research area, which was adopted by the Commission in the last few weeks, and which was then discussed at the Council of Research, the Competitiveness Council with research ministers a few days ago, and will soon produce conclusions of the Council to give support to this new dimension. And I think what we will see in Horizon Europe is significant increase in the resources, as well as a number of new innovative and I think exciting schemes in order to enable us to bring partners from all over the European Union into the mainstream Horizon Europe work. And this is naturally a strong priority of our Commissioner, Maria Gabriel. And the final thing I mentioned in terms of the new features of Horizon Europe is the proposals on association with third countries. We want Horizon Europe to be even more open to the world, to cooperation internationally, which is the lifeblood of successful research and innovation activity. And of course, within this discussion, we also need to find a solution to the special case of the United Kingdom, in the hope that the ongoing political negotiations on the future relationship reach a good solution. So that's what I wanted to say in terms of the new features of Horizon Europe. And so just a word on where we are now in terms of the preparations. So the good news is that we have a full agreement among member states and with the European Parliament on both the legal texts and the budget for Horizon Europe for the next 7 years. So we have an overall budget of 95.5 billion euros finally in the agreements that were reached in the last days. So this is very, very good news because it's even more than the Commission originally proposed. And if you take account of the UK departure, it represents for the EU 27 an increase of more than 20% over the budget for Horizon 2020. And this figure also includes the 5 billion euro top-up from the next generation EU post-COVID recovery program that was also agreed by Europe's leaders last July. And so obviously we're now looking forward to final political endorsement of these figures as part of the overall decisions on the next budget cycle, which we hope will come from Europe's leaders in the European Council and the European Parliament in the coming days. So in parallel to the legal preparations and the budget, we've also been working on a first strategic plan for Horizon Europe, which will cover the period 2021 to 2024. And we're hoping that this document can be adopted and circulated before the end of this year. It will include, we hope, the confirmation of the 5 mission areas that I mentioned earlier, as well as other strategic orientations, which ensure that our research and innovation agenda is fully connected with the overall political priorities of the European Union. And in parallel to this, we're also now well advanced in our discussions on the first work programs for Horizon Europe, covering the period 2021-2022, working closely there with member state representatives, in particular in the relevant program committees. And we believe that subject to the agreement on the budget and the general financial framework more generally, we are fully on track to adopt these new work programs and launch the first calls under Horizon Europe in April of next year. So I hope that gives you a brief summary of where we are on Horizon Europe. And I therefore now just like to conclude with a few comments on the broader political context, and in particular, how we are seeking to navigate and recover from the present COVID crisis. You will have seen that in the various political contributions that have come from the European Commission, we put a lot of emphasis on maximizing the opportunity of the huge post-COVID investments that are going to be needed in order to advance our priorities, in particular for a green and digital recovery strategy. And what we see is that research and innovation are going to be very, very central and very necessary dimensions of all the things that we're doing, whether it is in the area of health, in the area of climate change, industrial competitiveness in support of key strategic sectors that are identified in our industrial strategy, in the energy system, mobility, transport, and many other areas. And I think that it's very important that we all work together to ensure that research and innovation is deeply rooted in both the European Union's and national recovery strategies post-COVID. And I'd like just to conclude by highlighting the opportunities that we now have also to introduce research and innovation priorities and the higher education into the discussions that are ongoing on the recovery and resilience facility. This is part of our EU funding package for member states to support your efforts to build a new future following the COVID recovery, and where we are now in discussion with member states on what the content of these programs and recovery strategies might look like, and then of course also on the financial support that you will receive from the EU as part of our next generation EU recovery strategy. And what I would certainly encourage all of you working in the Spanish research and innovation community is to try and ensure that research and innovation and higher education priorities are fully built into the national plan that Spain is preparing, so that as we seek to work together on the draft Plan Nacional de Recuperación, Transformación y Resiliencia, which I think is a draft that we received from the Spanish authorities on late October, that we can work together to ensure that there is a strong research and innovation component also in what you're doing nationally, because this will be an excellent platform then to connect your national recovery strategy also with what we're doing at a European level. Through Horizon Europe, of course, but also in our wider post-COVID recovery environment. So, ladies and gentlemen, I hope that has given you some insights into the work that we are doing to prepare for Horizon Europe. I hope I've convinced you that we deeply appreciate the strong engagement of the Spanish research and innovation communities and the excellent track record that you have established under Horizon 2020 and our previous programs, and that we're really eager to build on this success with you in the future, both through the work that we're doing on the post-COVID recovery, but also more generally as we look to the future to build up the European research and innovation system as a necessary part of our economic success and competitiveness globally. So thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Mr. Child. La gestión de un programa transnacional de esta envergadura sin duda va a exigir una gran coordinación entre los equipos de la Comisión Europea y los expertos españoles que tendrán que coordinar y colaborar entre todas las actividades y acciones que se lleven a cabo dentro de este nuevo programa. Para ello, desde el CDTI, ofrecemos esa experiencia y saber hacer de los equipos que llevan gestionando el Programa Marco Europeo desde hace más de 3 décadas, y también vamos a poner en marcha algunas acciones, varias de ellas conocidas por los participantes españoles. Otras son novedades que tienen que servir para impulsar a esas pymes españolas hacia la excelencia y que se van a presentar a lo largo de esta jornada. Pero para ello voy a dar paso ya a la siguiente mesa redonda, donde el director, que va a coordinar el director de Programas Europeos y Cooperación Territorial del CDTI, y se van a presentar las novedades que trae este programa marco que ya anunciaba el ministro en sus palabras.